Well, the National Sea Rescue Institute says one person has died and another injured during spring high tides near George in the Western Cape. The storm caused flooding and forced evacuations in coastal areas. Residents are being advised to be on high alert today as more high tides are expected. Ayesha Ismail is in Gordons Bay, one of those affected areas, and joins us now for more. Thank you for joining us, Ayesha. Of course, we've seen these videos doing the rounds on social media, cars being swept away, homes and businesses flooded. What's the latest you can tell us? Because now we hear there's another one of these tides expected later today.
That is correct, and just a correction, I decided to come to Cork Bay first before going to Gordons Bay, and I'm here at the Brass Bell in Cork Bay. Now what we do know is that in the past 24 hours, coastal areas like Mossel Bay, Gordons Bay and Cork Bay experienced excessive wave movement and also very, very strong winds causing extensive damage. And as you spoke about Gordons Bay and particularly Bikini Bay, we saw those visuals doing the rounds of very, very high waves, and also seeing those cars floating in the water as those high waves just washed and lashed the cars that were close by. But I'm here in Cork Bay at the Brass Bell. I'm joined by the General Manager, James Alkers. You were telling me earlier that this is the first time in about 10 years that you've experienced this kind of weather here and damage.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, yeah. The last time anything this severe was roughly 10 years ago. We've experienced high tides regularly, so we know sort of how to contend with the waves usually, and we've put in sort of, we've tried to manage it as best we can over the years, but what we've experienced yesterday and further on today is phenomenal, and something we haven't experienced in over 10 years now.
So let's just walk towards the towards where you used to have windows, right? What happened here yesterday?
So where we're looking at the moment, this all was glass windows. We had frames in here with glass sliding windows, which went all the way around, as well as this was closed off. This roof area was closed off. And with spring tide, we were advised and warned about the tides being high, and we tried to sort of manage it as best as we could, but we weren't expecting to have the waves wash through and completely obliterate the framework and the glasswork that we had in place here. So as you can see now, there are no more frames anymore. The entire roofing structure has been damaged. And this happened pretty much from the first wave that came through roughly 3:30, 4:45, just before high tide. And that continued coming through 20, 30 waves thereafter, uncontrollable. If you take a look now, you know, it's low tide at the moment. High tide is again only at 4 today, and we can already see waves coming over the harbour wall, which is just, it's not normal. You only see waves over the harbour wall on high tide, and we are a long way away from high tide. So I'm a little bit concerned about this afternoon. We are putting in more precautionary measures just to ensure that there's no further damage or injury to anybody today. The idea is to make sure that we don't serve downstairs at all, and any customers that do want to come through to watch, because we are already having an influx of customers that are wanting to come and observe the waves. So we've arranged for the whole top section to accommodate as much customers as we could.
What is the extent of the damage?
So at the moment we're not too sure of the value of the extent. As I say, the waves today are going to be even more challenging than yesterday. So for now it's just been trying to salvage what hasn't been damaged. We've lost probably about 10 to 15 benches that have just been snapped in half. We've lost probably over 30 glass frames, 3 by 3 meter window frames, and we pretty much that's pretty much the bulk of the damage that's been caused. So now it's just a matter of identifying how much further this will continue for, and decide from there when to start fixing.
Thank you so much for your time. And that was James Alkers, the General Manager here at the Brass Bell in Cork Bay. But Craig Lambernon from the NSRI has also cautioned people, saying people should be careful, especially around the coastal areas. Let's listen to what he had to say earlier.
So NSRI are preparing for the new moon, spring tide, high tide this afternoon. NSRI and the emergency services are on high alert, but the storm surge, as what we saw yesterday, it did kind of appear again this morning during the low tide, where the tide being lower than normal, and then a storm surge causing a set of waves to bring waves in to way higher than what was expected in places around the coastline. So this will affect the whole coastline, and we are appealing to the public to be cautious, to be prepared. Don't deliberately put yourself in the face of danger. Be aware that we do have a spring high tide this afternoon between about it'll start between about 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock this afternoon, with a peak being during that. And we are appealing to the public, especially if you're walking your dogs on the beach, if you're hiking along the coastline, shoreline anglers, paddlers and sailboarders, to be extra cautious this afternoon due to the storm surge that we are still seeing around the coastline.
And then, of course, Ayesha, we know that there is, I think I lost Ayesha just now. Maybe we'll get back to her a little later. Oh, is she still there? Okay, she is still there. Yeah, she is still there. Ayesha, I just want to know, there is one person that unfortunately passed away because of this. Maybe tell us more about that. And also, you know, you just mentioned, you spoke to the owner of Brass Bell in Cape Town. So, you know, businesses are definitely being affected because weekends are their busiest time of the week. That's when they make most of their money, restaurants, especially along the coast now with the warmer weather, and the Springboks game happening, of course, later today as well. So they might be losing out on money because people are advised to stay away from the coastline.
But what we do know about the woman who sadly passed away, she was standing on the rocks and was swept into the sea by the strong waves. And one person was injured, and as a result of that, again, the NSRI and emergency services just appealing to people to be cautious. As when I spoke to James earlier about the Brass Bell, he's saying they're going to be utilizing another section of the Brass Bell because, you know, people, as you say, will be coming to watch the Springboks game. And, of course, there will always be people who want to come and watch the strong waves. It's not every day that we get to see, you know, this kind of waves, and people will still be coming. And I guess that the main issue here is for people to be careful. And I'm going to just step out of shot so that you can have a look at how strong the waves are at the moment. And it's meant to be low tide, and you can just imagine what's going to happen later today when high tide kicks in.
Well, thank you so much, Ayesha Ismail. We will definitely get hold of you a bit later on as